What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm here today. We're not in the water this week. We had to stay home and we had some other stuff to do, but I did wanted to get a video out, and since it is Dungeness crab season here in the west coast over here, I wanted to do a video of the crab traps that I use, because there is a lot of crab traps and people might be asking, oh, what should I start with, what can I buy, or what's the cheapest I can go with. So I got a little bit of everything here. I'm going to show you guys what I use, what has worked the best for me, and then also what else you can buy or what you can try. So yeah, we'll start off with easiest stuff first, just in case that you don't have a boat. But yeah, we'll dive into it, look at all the crab traps, give a little info about all of them, and then hopefully you can decide what you want to do, and hopefully you can get some good luck and get some crab out there. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. So we'll start off first with the crab snare. This one, very simple. I think they start at like $5-6, and you can get them anywhere at your local fisherman's place, or I think I've seen them at Kmart or Rite Aid as well. But it's very simple. It's just a little cage. You can open it up. This is where you put your bait in, and once you lock it up, I put it straight on my line with your coastal lock snap, and that's it. I usually have about 65-pound braid, because once you're tossing it out, you do want to have a little bit of strength in your line. You don't want it to snap as it goes out there. You want to have a good line. This is usually not the one I use, but you want to have a pole with a good backbone onto it. That way it does resist the long cast when you launch it out there. But that's usually basically it. You get this, fill it up with some bait. If you want to add extra weight, you can also toss some weight in there. I think I do have some extra weight. You could see it on this one. But yeah, you get it there, you toss it out, and usually these guys, I let them soak about 10 minutes, not too long, while I throw my other pole out there and try to fish for some stuff. Usually I throw this off of the surf, or if you're in a pier, you can throw it from a pier, and yeah, let it soak for about 10 minutes. And then as you retrieve, you want to give it a nice pull back. And as you pull back, you want these snares right here to kind of lock onto one of their lugs. So you want to do a nice pull, it goes, and then keep retrieving your line as fast as you can, so that you can get the crab in there. But yeah, these are pretty inexpensive ways to go, and they're usually pretty successful. I've caught my fair share of crab with these guys, so I do like them. If you don't have a boat, this is definitely the way to go, because I believe you can always check your regulations, but I believe in California you cannot keep any crab, or if lobsters, if you're down south or whatever, if you just have a hook on it. If you happen to hook on and you're fishing, you have to release it. So the other method that I've done as well is with this crab ring, and this usually, a lot of people I've seen people use it on kayaks, and usually these are faster soaks as well. But it's basically a ring, and you have your bait box. So basically you want to put bait, whatever you have, on rockfish carcasses. A lot of people like to use chicken, so it all varies. Everyone likes to say this is better than that. I've used a little bit of everything, and it seems like crabs they like it all. So it just depends. Whatever you have the most luck with, fill it up with your best bait. Just lock it in there, and then usually I have about, I don't know, 50. Usually I don't throw these too deep, but around 50 feet of rope. And with these guys, I say they're not really long soaks, because if you see, once this hits the bottom, there's usually nothing to keep the crab in there. So if they're there, they'll stay as long as they're entertained with the food. But if it runs out, they're free to go at any time. So these, like I said, quick soak, and once you get them, once you have maybe 10 minutes, you kind of just pull it up as quick as you can and just retrieve it that way. Pretty effective as well. I mean, I've caught a few, not as much as I'd like to, but it works. And then, like I said, I've seen people use them on kayaks or when you're off of a pier as well. They're good to just kind of put them out there, soak them 10 minutes or so, give them a soak, and then pull them up. And usually they're pretty effective, but not as effective as these other ones I'm going to show you a little bit later on right here. But again, I mean, it's another way to catch your crab. Not too bad. This is pretty inexpensive. I think this one was like either anywhere between $16 and $20. It's kind of like the beginning one. This is the one I started with. It's kind of a beginning trap. Also not too expensive, but once you put everything together, they start it's accumulating. But the cage itself is, I believe I paid $20. You can get them anywhere, your fishing place, Amazon sells them. And but usually when you buy them, all you get is the actual cage itself. These come flat, completely flat. Everything kind of breaks down, and they come, I mean, they're, what is this, I would say about 2 feet by 2 feet, and they're about 1 foot tall once you get them together. But this is the extra that you have to buy. I bought this little harness, and it kind of, you put one on each end, and when you lift it, it just gives you a more balanced lift. So when you lift it, it's easier to lift up there. So I think this guy was 20 bucks. The harness was about $7, anywhere between $7 and $10. And then your line, this one's usually pretty expensive. So I want to talk about line because it's pretty important as well. I've seen a lot of people have like this nylon line, and this line you really don't want to use it grabbing, because this guy floats. And so what happens is, as it floats, let's say you drop your pot about 50 feet and you have 100 feet of line. So your pot is going to drop 50 feet, and that extra 40 feet, because it's not heavy, it's just going to float. And what happens as it floats, a lot of people, a lot of boaters, if they're going and they don't, and they're usually looking for buoys, you know, kind of dangling up on top. What they don't see is this line, the extra 40 feet could be, they see a buoy, but they drive around maybe 10, 15 feet away. If they have 40 feet of line just floating, they can get caught in a prop, and it can cause a serious injury. You can cause the boat to kind of fail, or the motor, something happens. So you gotta buy, that's why we have this other line. This is called lead core line, and it has thin strand of lead inside the braid here. And what that allows it to do is, for any extra line that you have, it'll go ahead and sink. So if I'm dropping at 60 feet and I have 120 feet of line, I know that the rest of it is going to drop all the way to the bottom, and the only thing that's going to be showing is my buoy straight up and down without anyone passing 10 feet away from it. There's not gonna, I know there's not going to be any worry of the line getting caught on their prop. So definitely an investment that I would think it's definitely a must for your traps. You really don't want to be using this line that can cause harm to anybody else. So I only use this for the harness, and then the rest of it is lead core line that I think you've seen in my videos. I do them in 60-foot sections. That way, if I'm dropping in 60 feet of water, I'll maybe pull two sections and get 120 feet. That way I'm not pulling 200 feet of rope when I'm only in 60 feet of water or 80 feet of water. So it just makes it a lot easier to manage. And then these guys, as you see, these guys is the same thing. I mean, you have your cage, and then on the inside you do have, again, always want to have bait. You don't want to just throw an empty cage in there and hope that crabs are going to go in there. They want something to feed on and something to smell. So you have your bait box, lock it in there. Usually I put it right on top. You want to put it on top so that the crab are kind of picking at it and trying to grab it. If you leave it at the bottom, they're gonna eat it as fast as they can and then try to look for an escape. So That's your bait box. This rebar that I see, you don't really have to use rebar. This is just extra weight that I put on my crab trap just in case the swell or the weather gets a little bad. I know that my crab trapper is gonna stay where it's at. If you put maybe 1 pound and the swell starts picking it up, it's not too heavy, it can kind of get away from you, and then it's a lot harder for you to find. So I usually add about, I think these rebars are about 2 pounds each, so this one has about an extra 4 pounds of weight. And that's about it. Also double check your regulations, but in California you have to have a ring that's at least 5 inches, and it has to have a cotton strand, just in case you do lose your pot within time. I think this cotton will disintegrate and it'll open up just in case crabs are in there, they're allowed to escape. So double check your regulations before you release any crab traps. That way you know exactly what's asked of you from your state, and you're always keeping it legal. That's pretty much for this trap. Really effective for a beginner. Like I said, $20, an extra 7. You do have to pay for this bait box. You don't have to get this one. There's some that are just like little pouches that are less expensive, but I think this was like $4 or $5. Not too bad. And then your line usually is the most expensive, and then you have to have your buoy. Again, once you do throw your buoy, I believe I said in my videos, make sure you have your Go ID on it. That's the number that you have on your fishing license. I also have my CF number, which is my boat number, just in case, and then my last name. That way I know it's easier for me to spot. I know what to look for. Yeah, but that's these guys. Something that I also like to do once I do have these locked in there, I usually put some zip ties. I find out that these guys are your best friends. So always keep a bag of zip ties, whether it's in your boat or if you're going with a friend. You can always lock these in. You don't want by something to happen that opens up and you lose all your crab. I always put a zip tie there, a zip tie wherever it's going, and I know that it's not going to go anywhere. Or my little openings for the little doors. This is where the crab goes through, and you can see here I have a little piece of a lead, and the reason why I do this is same thing, because of the current down. Once you're, whether it's 80 feet, 100 feet, sometimes it's pushing, and if you don't have these weights, the crab will always be able to go in. But let's say the current is it's pushing pretty hard, and it starts moving. It does have the ability to kind of push this gate and latch open and kind of keep it up. And if that happens, then the crab are free to go, and they can just kind of come, eat as they want, and they leave. But if you have this weight, it'll only allow the crabs to go in, and as soon as they go, because of this extra weight, it closes that door, and it doesn't give the crab any possibility to leave these guys. These guys I do leave soaking for about 5 to 6 hours, and they are really effective, as you can see in my videos. I mean, I've caught about anywhere between 15 to 20, maybe I think 20 keepers at one time in these guys. So for a short time, if you're doing something just for the day, these are really effective. I mean, all in, you're saying about $50 to $60, and you'll definitely get your limit with these. I've had a wonderful time with these. I've gotten a lot of crab, and they work really well. One of my favorites. It is a little bit more expensive. The material that it's made of is a lot better, and it's just the way you work it, it's a lot easier to work with, and you don't have to be zip tying. Like, just for example, this guy, your bait, real easy. Get in, get out, stuff it in there. If your bones, if you're gonna rebait, you're leaving them for 3-4 days or whatever, and you're just kind of going and checking them every now and then. Really easy to rebait. That's all it is. It's just one, you get in, rebait it, you're ready to go. If you want to be more secure, you can always throw a zip tie in there, tie it, you know that thing's not going to go anywhere. So really the material that it's made of, it's just a little bit more, it's got a little bit more, so it's a little bit thicker steel, and it's a little bit more heavier, and you can just see it's a heavier duty pot. It's gonna last a lot longer, but it also is a little bit more expensive. It is already California compliant with the rings that are at least 5 inches, so if you get keepers or whatever, they come and go as they want, no issues. As you can see here, this one, since it is a heavier duty, I've added extra weight. So I've added 3 of these they're about 2-pound bars. So I have an extra 6 pounds of weight that I know that when I drop this pot, I usually drop it a lot deeper. I'm going anywhere between 130 feet to 160, 170. And these guys, I can leave overnight, no problem. Usually if you're doing something real fast, 2 to 3 hours, I found out they're not as effective as these square ones, but the longer you leave these guys in there, the more and more the crab they get. For some reason, they're just, you see that it's just, crabs can go in here, but they can't go out because this is raised. They're not allowed to kind of go in there. So once they're in there for good. And it's just really, really easy. 4 compartments to go in. They got 1, 2, 3, 1 on the other side. This side is just so that you can kind of pull the crabs out. Real easy the way they did it. It's just kind of a bungee cord. It latches on there. It's locked in there. Once again, if you do want to add extra security, make sure you put your zip tie in there. And as again, it has its cotton just in case whatever happens, you lose your pot. It has the cotton so that this later on, let's say about a month or so, even less, this starts disintegrating, the salt water will eat it up, and this will open, and once it opens, it gives the crab free access to get out of there. Nice big hole, really, really easy to use. So again, it's the same. I have these tied with lead core rope. Again, they're in 60-foot strands. Again, you see my buoy, my last name, real big, nice and big, so you can see it, and the Go ID, real easy. But other than that, guys, I mean, those are the pots that I've used. Really, really enjoy this one. Like I said, this one's a little bit, it's still not a commercial pot, but it's definitely a lot heavier duty, it's way better made. It'll last longer, but again, I think these guys start anywhere from, I think, $250, and usually they can come in kits. Sometimes they give you 100 feet of rope. If that's what you want to start with, that's pretty good. But once you know your areas, I know that I need at least 180 feet of rope from where I like to drop my pots, so that I can be comfortable that I'm not going to lose my pots or anything like that. So, but yeah, you can, like I said, you can start from as little as $6 with your crab snares if you want to just get started, and really simple to use. Just get your bait, toss it out there, and you'll be crabbing in no time. I've used them all. I've caught crab in all of them, but these guys have by far exceeded my expectations. I like to use them. You've seen them in my videos. They do a really, really good job. But yeah, guys, this is I just wanted to do this video so you guys can see the different type of crab traps, about the pricing that I've paid for them. But not too bad for a start. Like I said, these guys are about $20. Really, really effective. Or if you kind of just want to get out there and get your fingers wet and see what it's all about, you can start with those. We'll start with the snares for $6, and you can get out there and start getting some crab. I definitely enjoy it, and it's just something that I really, really enjoy doing. Just getting out there, being in the water is always fun. So hopefully, this gives you kind of a little incentive to get out there and kind of go crabbing and just have fun, enjoy it, and then, like I said, just eat some great food as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video helps you out to kind of just see the equipment that I use, and that you could maybe either You don't have to do exactly what I do, but kind of get tips here and there, and then see what you like, see what works best for you, and hopefully maybe I'll see you out there and get limits of crab as well. Thanks again. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for taking your time. If you like these videos, please remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.